Today I'm going to talk about Utopia, Dystopia, and Protopia. As you can see in the picture behind me, the dystopia theme is huge. Like everywhere around the world, we're seeing this discussion how things are going to go badly. You know, nuclear war and energy problems and famines and food issues and what have you, right? So I wanted to talk about this because I think it's really important that we start adopting a new world. I call it Protopia. Of course, that's not you. It's been branded by Kevin Kelly and invented by Kevin Kelly, really, the futurist over at Wired magazine, who I greatly admire and follow a lot. And I made a film a few months ago. It's called Twice Upon a Time. Here's the web address, twiceuponatime.tv. And you can watch it there. That's on my blog and also, of course, on YouTube. But it describes a kind of 2030 option in two different ways. One's really badly, the first half, and you can skip that if you want, the dystopian half, and then a good future, a good 2030. So let's dive into the discussion of what Protopia means and why I'm talking about it today. And I also want to alert you to a show I'm doing on Wednesday this week, on March 8th, about the paradigm shift. That'll come at the end. So back in my film, back in last year, I was in Lanzarote. I made a film called The Good Future. And that egged on a whole global debate about what good is and what is the good future. And I felt kind of like I was sucked into this tunnel of conversation about what a good future means. And it has become a key theme in my work. Probably the number one key theme when I speak about the future is how to make the good future happen. And these days, God knows, the good future doesn't look that good. Every time I talk about this, I say, okay, yes, clearly climate change, energy issues, all of those issues about technology, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and all the stuff that we can expect when we go into virtual places like the metaverse and VR and augmented reality. And in the movie, I talk about this a lot. I talk about basically the outlook of society currently being shaped by this whole debate about things that aren't going well. And I think we need to make a change, especially when it's about technology, this kind of fear of technology and what may be happening around us because we can't control technology. And here's the key message, right? We have to think about a future that is realistic, but stepwise, as Kevin Kelly says, Protopia, stepping into the future step by step and learning how to deal with our struggles and also focusing on what can be fixed. He says, Kevin, that we should not be focusing so much on all the things that are obviously going wrong, and that we keep looking at this, and we shouldn't be optimistic because we're looking at that and saying, okay, it's not that bad, right? But we should be optimistic because we have now more capacity to solve these issues, like climate change, like pollution, right? I mean, technology is helping us left and right to fix these issues, but apart from technology, we will also need policy. And this is the number one thing, right? We have all the tech we need, but do we have the wisdom, right? Do we have the right policy? Are we collaborating? And clearly climate change is only at the beginning of that whole debate. This is also about technology, about genetic engineering, about weapons of the future, about spacefaring, about all of those things that are crucial to humanity when we're solving our practical problems. Right? And in the movie, Twice Upon a Time, I speak a lot about what could go wrong by 2030 if we don't do that. You may want to skip that part. There's a button on the YouTube video where you can skip that if you have enough of the bad part. But there's also a good part. And I think it's really important to understand why we're not in a place where everything is lost and why we can still do things. Right? So when we go towards a good 2030, we're clearly seeing we can solve climate change. Right? We can solve energy. We can solve food and water situations. Right? We can solve global shortages and we can solve poverty. Right? This is a kind of the visionary view of a good future, a bit of a Star Trek economy, you could say. And so here it's important that, again, we go back to the word Protopia, a stepwise approach into that future, step by global collaboration, by global change, driven, of course, by what millennials and Gen Y is asking. One of the things in the film, I talk a lot about the Ministry for the Future, which, of course, is taken from the Kim Stanley Robinson novel, when he talks about Zurich, by accident, Hochstraße, around the corner, becoming the headquarter of a new Ministry for the Future. I think that would be a nice thing to happen. It doesn't have to be in Zurich, but we're going to need some guidance on this. And we're going to have to come together on a global agenda. So we're seeing this sort of global consciousness emerge when we speak about the future. And when you speak to millennials, 25 to 40-year-olds, it's quite clear they're perceiving already themselves to be global citizens, not to be citizens of Switzerland or Germany or America. They're already global citizens. That's a really important thought, is to get together and figure out how we can have a global rebranding of the future that speaks about it positively and within feasibility. So as we're moving here into this future, I think it's going to be absolutely mind-boggling. The next 10 years will bring more change than the previous 200 years, right? It's huge, right? So when we move into that future, we have to have vision. We have to understand what is coming next. We have to be able to make a map, right? Imagination is more important than knowledge, as Einstein said. This is a crucial thing, so let's develop some imagination. Let's think about the future in a larger way and what it brings to all of us going together. Watch the film Twice Upon a Time and meet me this Wednesday for a show that's called Global Paradigms with Peter Leiden. And it's newparadigms.global is the website that you may want to visit to check it out. But stay here on YouTube. I'll be broadcasting here as well.